Welcome to Operation Successful Transition. In this podcast, my guests and I will be talking about the four pillars of housing, work, benefits, and mental health to open doors for veterans and connect you with the people you need to meet. We deeply appreciate your service and sacrifice and hope to help make your transition back to civilian life smoother. Your success is important. You are important. Welcome to Operation Successful Transition. I am Sherry Eccles, your host. I'm a realtor in the Bryan College Station area. And today we have Jesse Lopez with us. Jesse Lopez served 23 years in the U.S. Air Force as a Security Forces member, earning 2 Bronze Star medals for actions in combat. He led thousands of personnel during 7 assignments and 5 deployments. Wow. Further, Jesse managed millions in resources and aircraft. During one assignment, he oversaw the entire security of 2 air shows with over 600,000 visitors. He has transferred exemplary skill set into the real estate industry, where he's currently the owner-broker of his own real estate brokerage. Combine proactive, enthusiastic, and effective, and you have Jesse Lopez. Jesse takes on challenging responsibilities such as training and guiding his clients, fellow agents, and their clients. He's a master organizer, professional instructor, and skillful negotiator. His impressive military background allows him to navigate and accomplish the task while staying grounded and faithful to his mission. In addition to 5 years in the business, Jesse also puts his knowledge to work for his family's financial future. He maintains a role in veteran advocacy and guiding military members on long-term strategies when purchasing a home. Hey, Jesse, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. Thank you for first off, thank you for having me on here. And
Oh, we're excited to have you.
yeah, I'm excited to share, whatever I've been doing and answer any questions that your viewers have. So thank you.
Yes, Jesse's a member of VA Rep, which is VA Real Estate Professionals Group. I'm also a member. That's how we met. And I was intrigued by hearing that you are involved in legislative process and doing things within the government as far as benefiting veterans.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the government affairs for its Veterans Association of Real Estate Professionals. So we're a nonprofit organization that advocates for our brothers and sisters that are in the military and were in the military,
Yeah.
specifically regarding the VA home loan program, which is a benefit that we earn as we've served in the military. So yeah, there's it I'll be honest. When I first started, I was like, I want a government affairs director. I'm not a political person. Obviously, I have political views. I don't think those are things that I share with anybody just openly. But I love my brothers and sisters. I spent 23 years with just people from all walks of life who voluntarily said, you know what, I'll I'll give up my life for you. And there's some mad respect for that because, not everybody does it. Like they say, less than 1% of the population actually serves their country in this capacity. So
Mhm.
mad respect for those people. I love them. I would die for them as well. And I don't even know them, right?
Right.
So I figured, why not be an advocate? So I'm not a political person, but let me see what I can do. I take orders well. I did it for 23 years. So you tell me what you need me to do, you train me how to do it, give me the resources I need, and off I go. And that's exactly what happened with VA Rep. They're like, hey, do you want to be the government affairs director? And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm up for the challenge. As long
Nice.
as it's helping other veterans, I'm down. So the government affairs director, basically what my role is to help push legislature in front of Congress, in front of the Senate, in order to protect the veteran population, right? So people who served. So we have 2 bills that are currently in Congress right now. They're House resolutions. So I did not write the numbers down, but I'll share them with you, and then you can share them with everybody else.
Sure.
But I'll just give you the 3,000-foot view of each of those. So the first one has to do with the Veterans Association of Real Estate Professionals wanting to get a congressional charter. And this is important because if you've ever dealt with the military or you ever deal with military people, it's kind of a closed community, right? Like if you're
Mhm.
not part of us, you're going to have a hard time getting in. A lot of it has to do with the brotherhood, right? And being able to trust each other and all that stuff. So when you, as a professional, if you want to go educate somebody on base, you may go and educate one or two, but you're not going to go in there and say, hey, I want to do a class on the VA home loan, because they're going to look at you and be like, no, we're not doing this, right? So the congressional charter, what it does, it allows us, or it opens up that door. So there's 5 current ones that, and I'm probably gonna mess this up, but there's the veteran of foreign war, American veterans, disabled American veterans, American Legion, and maybe there's 4. I'm not sure 100%, but we're trying to get that designation. Why is that important? Well, because the VA has these benefits that that they give us. However, the military, so we're talking about 2 different entities, right? The military doesn't do a very good job of educating us veterans on the benefits that we've earned. And not surprisingly, but the veteran, the VA home loan, you have earned that right as a military member from the jump. Like, it's like you're in for a couple of months and you've earned the right to use that.
Yeah.
However, the military doesn't ask you, hey, are you buying a home? Are you investing in your family? Are you building generational wealth? They don't ask you that. This is what it sounds like. Hey, you got a place to sleep? Yes. Okay, good. And they go to the next person, right? Like, they're not interested in you using those benefits to the full capacity, right?
Right.
It's until you either separate, when you get out of the military, or you retire, that anybody even starts to mention benefits. And that's kind of a bad deal for the military member, right? So what we're trying to do is trying to get this designation so we can go into and first off, let me back up a little bit. We recognize that the military, that's not their function. Their function is readiness, win wars, and blow stuff up, right? That's
Right.
what,
Right.
and they do that well. However, we want to be able to complement that and say, hey, we'll educate your soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines in the benefits that they're earning now. So getting that designation will give us the opportunity to go on base and have classes and educate them. So that's one, right? That's one of
And
the
that's useful because you don't have to be a veteran to use a VA loan. You can be active duty and you can start building your wealth through real estate while you're active.
absolutely. I'm a big proponent of that. Like, I try to educate as many active duty military members as possible. I currently have an airman who's an E3, who is, him and his wife, they're dual military, are buying their second home in a year. And I love it because I'm like,
Yeah.
you are going to be light years ahead of where I'm at. Like, I own several homes too, but like, I'm trying to play catch up. They're 22 years old and they're buying their second home, right? That's great. So I have no doubt that this couple has a good head on their shoulders. They're going to continue to take advantage of that benefit and build that generational wealth. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm excited for them. But again, nobody ever told me. I was in 16 years before I used the VA benefit the first time, the home loan the first time. And by that time, I'm 16 years in. Like, I've lost a lot of time.
That's a long
And,
time.
and even then, I wasn't a real estate professional, so I didn't really understand what I was doing. I just knew
Mhm.
that it was there and I took advantage of it. But now I know better. So we're trying to educate people. And this is why there's a need, right? The utilization rate of the VA home loan benefit is 10 to 15%. So that means that 10 to 15 veterans or active duty military are using it, but that doesn't mean that they're not buying homes. They're still buying homes, right? But a lot of lenders, and I'm going to put them on blast, are using uh, reasons. I'm going to use the word reason. I'll be nice to sway them maybe to a conventional loan, because there's a lot of misinformation about the V home loan program. And as a real estate professional, one of the misinformation is, oh, they appraise the homes low, or oh, they have too many conditions, or oh, and think about it. Okay, if there is conditions that they need to, the seller needs to take care of, I mean, you're giving it to an American hero, or you're
Right.
selling it to an American hero. Why not take care of these people, right? Like, they've taken care of you. they've given you the freedom of speech, and they didn't give it to you, but you know what I'm saying. They're
Yeah.
protecting
Yeah.
those rights. But anyway, it's no different. It's a government loan, so it's not like there's not different standards. As a matter of fact, the VA home loan is a little bit more lenient when it comes to, conditions and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's the reason. I mean, we still have American veterans, buying homes, but for some reason they're not using the VA loan, and it's mainly because of education. And how do I know this? I personally go on base because I can, because I'm retired, and I talk to people, and I'm just like, "Hey, what do you know about the VA home loan?" And the things that come out of their mouth, I'm like, "Oh wow, like we need to educate you. Like that's not even
Right.
true."
Right.
So that's the first bill, right, that we're pushing. We want to get that designation so we can go and help, military active and veterans, um, just get educated so they can build that generational wealth, so they can build that, you know, that what do you call that? Your net worth, right? Like
Yeah.
net worth between somebody who rents and somebody who owns a home is a big difference.
Yeah.
So
Huge difference.
and
Yeah.
and they've already earned that right, so or they've earned that benefit, so we're just trying to educate. The second one has to do with the lenders that I was talking about, right? So currently, so this one's called the Valid Act, the VA loan informed decision. Yeah, VA learn informed decision. Okay, so basically, what we're trying to do is currently, if I go to get a loan, a home mortgage, the lender's not required to ask me whether or not I served, right? So
Right.
that's file number one, right? So what we're trying to do is there's already this valid act, but we're trying to add a little bit to it. So currently, if somebody goes to get a loan, the lender is required to show them a side-by-side comparison of a conventional loan and a FHA loan. So conventional is a non-government loan, FHA is a government loan. So there's differences, right? But
Yeah.
they're required to disclose both and go, which one do you think is better? So we're just taking it up a notch. We want the lender to be required to ask, are you a veteran or did you serve? Is there any military affiliation? Do they qualify for a VA loan? And if they say yes, it's going to trigger them to do a conventional FHA and VA. So
Super important.
super important, right? Like I mean, you and I know this because we're in the space, but I mean,
Exactly.
there's like different things like origination charges, there's fees, there's private mortgage insurance, there's a whole bunch of things that come into a mortgage, but you don't know what you don't know. So
Exactly.
that's why we're advocating, say, hey, look, take care of these guys and gals that served in the military, ask them if they're military, see if they qualify for it, and then do the side-by-side comparison. Let them decide.
Hmm.
Don't decide because maybe you make more money on a conventional loan, or maybe it's just easier for you. Most of us who have served, life has not been easy, right? Especially those who have served to 20 plus years.
Right.
It's hard. Like,
Hmm.
let's just give them, educate them on what they may not know, and then give them all the facts and let them decide.
I think that's is such a disservice that these lenders you're talking about don't teach people about the VA loans because it's such a good benefit for them and makes homeownership possible where it might not otherwise be.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I mean, just again a broad overview. Conventional and FHA, you pay private mortgage insurance. The VA, you don't. You already
right.
paid that by serving. The government is saying, you know what? Even if you default on your first mortgage payment, we're going to cover 25% of that. So that's guaranteed for the bank or for whoever
That's
owns the loan.
that's a
That's
couple $100 a month off your payment, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, depending on the loan amount, yeah, hundreds of dollars. So that's that's one of the benefits, right? No down payment. So you don't even have to come out with down payment. Now, don't get me confused. Down payment and closing costs are two different things. So some people say, "What? I still need to bring money." Yeah, you still need to have some money, but the down payment is going to mitigate, having to put 3 to 5% down on a
Right.
FHA or conventional loan.
You have the funding fee, right? With the VA loan.
So we do have a funding fee. So that is
Yeah.
something that unless you have a disability rating, you have to pay what's called the funding fee. And the funding fee is basically the way it's explained to me and I explain to people. It's so the VA program continues, and it's just to keep the lights on, right? It's not like something that the lender's going to make off of the veteran or the active duty person. It's an administrative charge that needs to, we still need to pay bills. So
Right.
now I say we, not me, the VA has
Yeah.
to pay bills. So that's what that funding fee is. But if you have a disability rating, that's waived. So for instance, if you have 10% disability, waived. Um, yeah, another it has nothing to do with the VA loan, or it does have to do with the VA loan, but disability. If you're a member and you have 100% disability, then you don't pay property taxes.
That's a huge thing here in Texas, right?
That is it's phenomenal. So I'll share my
Yeah.
personal. I bought a home in 2019. It was a $300,000 home. My mortgage was $1,800 because the rates were low. Um, I got my 100% disability rating, and my mortgage went down to $1,000.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Wow. 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 Wow.
So if
So
you're
this is that's
okay,
just on your primary residence, right? That's
yeah,
not if
yeah,
you have other
just on a
property.
primary
Okay.
resident. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But
if
still,
you don't
wow.
mind doing a shameless plug,
Go
if
ahead.
if you're a veteran and you have 100% disability, like get a hold of somebody if you're paying taxes, because you shouldn't be paying taxes. Or if you don't have 100% disability, get a hold of somebody to help you, and I can
Yeah.
help.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can
Same
choose
here.
something.
Happy to help. I have I help a lot of people with tax value, you know,
Yeah,
information so they can protest their taxes um and also with some veterans guiding them in where to go to fill out the forms to get their exemptions and that. So it's quite a benefit.
yeah, yeah.
Totally worth it. Yeah. So what's coming up next? Is there something that you're working on for future legislative sessions after?
Um, as an organization, I know the national echelon of this organization is working on some other things. I don't have a view on that yet, but right now we're still focused because we started this in the beginning of uh, this session. So we went to Washington D.C. We met with the congressmen and women weren't there, but their staffers were. So we met with them. We explained it to them. We explained the two different bills, and it was surprising to see how much they didn't know. Like for instance, one of the things that they asked me, they're like, "Well, why do you want to go uh, teach veterans or teach active duty military people about their benefits?" And I said, because nobody else is doing it. Like I retired, it's already been 9 years. Oh, that's a long time ago. I retired 9 years ago, and they have this thing called the Transition Assistance Program, TAP,
Mhm.
and it basically is a box checker. Like it doesn't really cover anything. I didn't know any more about my benefits after the class than I did before the class. So it was really not that helpful. But again, they're not thinking about the benefit side. They were like, hey, this is how you fill out a resume. Hey, this is, if you want to get a job, like this is where you need to go. But it needs to be so much deeper than that. So anyway, the staffers were like, wow, I didn't know that. And I'm like, yeah, like this is needed. Of course, we get a little bit of pushback because they're like, well, what's in it for you? And we're like, well, nothing. Like, I mean, could we get residual maybe deals from it, or somebody may use us? Probably would happen, right? But that's not the intent. The intent is to educate.
Educate. Yeah.
Like in San Antonio, you can't throw a rock without hitting a realtor, right?
Right.
So
Can't swing a cat without hitting one. Yeah.
right? So I mean, if I educate you and you use your brother-in-law who's a realtor, great. I mean, at least I educated you, and you're
Right.
making a better decision, right? Or you have more information to make decisions. So we did get a little bit of pushback, and we're kind of that one's a little bit slower in getting the co-sponsors that we need from the congressmen and women. But
Mhm.
the other one was like, oh, okay, yeah, they need to be informed. So we're getting a lot more traction on that bill. So if you're watching and you live in Texas, or it doesn't matter where you live, get a hold of your congressman or congresswoman and say, hey, I heard about these two bills. Like, I'd like to support them, or what are you doing to support them? They may be supporting them already, but you don't know until you ask. So
Yep. Yeah. And I don't know if that would come up for a vote for us at all, but we can always put it, we'll put that number there. If it comes up, vote for it.
yeah, no doubt. Yeah,
And
I don't
we
think
will. We'll put the bill numbers on the screen and on the end card so people can refer to that.
yeah,
That's
absolutely.
important. I think these are huge changes that'll do a lot of good.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we actually have another contingency going to Washington, back to Washington, to kind of try to help speed along. So we met with, I think it was 340 congressmen or women in May. So
Nice.
we're going back because we need to keep pushing it. And I don't know if you could see my calendar or my map back here, but
Hmm.
this is like all the representatives for this area. So it's yeah, it's real. I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, those maps, I don't know who drew them, but there's reasons they drawn like that. But yeah, there's a lot of people that we need to get a hold of to say, hey, let's support this. So yeah, hopefully this year we'll have those two pass into law, and we'll focus on the next thing, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll vote for you. I'm pushing for you, and thank you for doing that. That's a big deal, and it's just effort in informing people. Like you say, the active people and the veterans rather don't know, and then the Congress people don't know about the importance of educating people. So it's good to be the voice in the crowd saying, "Hey, wait, we need to change this," and you're actually doing something about it. I found there's a lot of people that like to complain about something, but they don't like to do anything to fix it. And I love that you're doing something to make a change. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I did a video about that the other day. I said, I found that most of the time that something didn't go the way I wanted it to go or I expected it to go, it was one of two reasons why it didn't, because of inaction or I took the wrong action.
Right.
So just gotta regroup, take a look at it, and then, you know, if it's important to you, you're gonna take action, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And if you make the wrong action at first, learn from that, regroup, do it
Yep,
the right way the next time.
100%. Yeah, I love it.
Awesome sauce. So after all those years in the military, you had a transition back to civilian life. And you've talked about the TAP program not really being all that useful.
Yeah.
Could you go over with us, maybe some of the landmines you stepped on or problems that you had that you overcame, or things that you planned ahead that went well? How can you help somebody else who's transitioning to have a better one?
Yeah. So the saying, I've already said it once, you don't know what you don't know, right? I was, for a lack of a better word, institutionalized. Like, this was my routine, this is where I went, this is what I did. And believe it or not, it's just so ingrained in you that when it was time to move over to being a civilian, it was extremely difficult. Like, this is probably not something that most veterans are going to tell you, but it is extremely difficult. And I'm going to say it was difficult financially because your pay gets cut in half, right? So, and that's not even, if you understand military pay, you have your base pay, you have uh, basic allowance for housing, you have basic allowance for, subsistence, and like you
Mhm.
have different pays, but half of the pay is only half of your base pay, which is not a lot, right?
Right.
So financially, it was a struggle. Um, Mentally, emotionally, was a huge struggle because here I am. I've been indoctrinated into a system for 23 years, and I've been part of that system, and everything was just predictable, if you would. And then you retire, and nothing's predictable. Like, you're just on your own. And whether that sounds liberating or not, it's frightening because
It's a
now
lot of decisions to make every day.
a ton of decisions. And then I found myself falling into the no decisions. Like, I'm gonna just regress and just kind of sit here and see how this all works out. And that was difficult. It was difficult to go through that because there was nobody that understood. There was nobody that and I say nobody, I didn't know there was people that do understand. But there was, to me, nobody knew where I was at, and I didn't tell anybody where I was at. So in my mind, it was just a big struggle. Um, so yeah, it's hard. Um, But the good thing is now that I'm I would say recovered, right? Like I'm okay now. I'm back into the swing of things. Now I'm a normal human being. And you know what? And I say normal. We're not even counting the things that we went through if you were in a combat zone or if you know deployed and you left your family. There's just so much going on, right? The good
Mhm.
thing is now I'm fully aware of what's going on and fully aware of the help that's out there. So there's a lot of help. If you're military about to retire, you're not alone, right? If you retired or separated and you're a veteran now and you feel alone, you're not alone. Like all you got to do is reach out, call. You can call me. I mean, if you put my number out there, I I'm not afraid of phone calls, right? Um, but there's just so many resources out there that are there for you. I'm actually part of another nonprofit organization. If you don't mind, I'll do a plug for this one.
Have at it.
It's called Operation Pay It Forward. And what it is, it's an organization, it's a nonprofit out of Salt Lake City. And what our mission for that nonprofit is to just connect with like-minded veterans or active duty people because we're a little different, right? We've experienced life a little different. And sometimes it feels good to just be around people that are like you. And I've learned so much from this group, like not just from the nonprofit, but from the people that I've met through the organization, just other people that are, you know, have served, they like to go hunting or fishing. I actually did a fishing trip for 18 veterans and we chartered the boat. We were out on the water for 24 hours. It was phenomenal.
I bet that was a blast.
The fishing was a blast, but it was just so much better connecting with
Yeah.
I guess the icing on the cake was connecting with other veterans and learning about them and what they do and it was amazing. So that's a resource that you have, and there's hundreds, if not thousands, of organizations out there ready to help and ready to help you, in that capacity, in writing a resume. In that, there's actually another organization that I just got introduced to. If you need to talk to somebody and just talk to someone and not have to disclose who you are or any of that stuff, like there's organizations out there to help you, and
Absolutely.
that should be part of the transition assistance program, but it's not. At least it wasn't when I went through. And again, keep in mind, I retired 9 years ago, but there's organizations out there that can do that. There's people out there that care. Most of my veteran friends are like, hey, if you ever experience something or you need to talk, it doesn't matter what time it is, like call me. Here's a staggering statistic if you don't know this, but 22 veterans or military people take their life every day.
Yeah, I've heard the numbers even higher than that. So
Yeah. So that's what we're trying to say. Hey, you know what?
yeah.
We're here. Call us. We don't know who you are, so we can't call you. If I knew who you were, I trust me, I'd call you.
Right.
But if you need help, if you're struggling with something financially, emotionally, physically, it doesn't matter. Like there's organizations out there that are ready to take care of you. And they're not just talk. Like I hear people say, "Oh, I love veterans," and I'm like, I'm a little cynic, right? Like, really? How do you love veterans? Like, but there's organizations out there that really do care and will back that up and give you
Mhm.
the resources that you need. So you
Yeah.
just
And
don't fall away.
sometimes it's just connection, just connecting you with who you need to meet.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
like
yeah.
in on the vein of working in resumes, if you're into starting up your own business, there's like the McFerrin Center at Texas A&M. I was a mentor there in the fall for a veterans program, veterans entrepreneurship program. That was just phenomenal. Everybody got such great information, and the mentors that were there, I felt like, small potatoes compared to the people that could connect them with who they needed to meet, and through that, I met a guy who has an organization called Fob Razor. He's in Willis, Texas, and you can call him and he'll drive to you where you are, pick you up, save you, it's about camaraderie. I think a lot of veterans miss the camaraderie and belonging to a group, and a group of people who are like you, who have experienced that same feeling of camaraderie and are missing that same thing, are sounds like this group you're talking about out of Salt Lake City is one that puts people together so that they can still experience that. And it doesn't matter if you know them or not. You don't always know the people that you're serving with until you've been in this group with them and served with them and been in grave danger or in icky situations, with someone like that. So I think that's a great organization.
Yeah, it's always fun connecting with other veterans because even though I may not know them or they served in a different branch or something like that, but we've all at one point or another have walked the same, roads, the same dining facilities. We've stayed in the same tents, like in a deployed location, or we've been to the same bases. It's awesome. It really is a small world when it comes to that. So
Yeah.
the thing that I wanted to say also, like these organizations that are out there, not just the organizations, but there's veterans just sprinkled all over society who maybe that company or that organization is not there for that purpose, but that person will be like, hey, you know what? Let me help you.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is ask. And then that's probably the toughest part to swallow is that all you have to do is ask. If you ask, you're gonna get it. If you don't ask, we're not gonna know. And you're gonna suffer in pain, right? Which I did for a couple of years actually. And then finally I like got out of it and I was like, okay, cool, I'm good now. So now that's what my obviously I do real estate. I'm a real estate broker, but my mission is just to help my brothers and sisters however I can. Like that's my goal.
Exactly. Well, you're going to be a good resource for this podcast. We cover housing, we cover benefits, work and entrepreneurship, and mental health. And besides PTSD, there's a whole host of things. One is the camaraderie. There's thoughts of homicide, not just suicide. And there's all kinds of different ways to slice it, and all kinds of different things that can go through a person's head. So there's no shame in asking for help at all whatsoever. There are people who want to help you, who want to be there for you, who want to see you come to the light in a great place in your life and be happy and productive and doing really well. So
yeah. So you mentioned landmines, and then what are some things that I experienced that were better, that were good, and
yeah,
that would be it. Is just being able to be part of a family, even though I'm not wearing a uniform anymore. That's still my family. So most of my clients, and I'd say about 95%, are either active duty or veteran, and most of my friends are veterans or active duty. So it doesn't end just because your service ended. The rank and all that stuff ends, but you're still around the same people, the same culture, the same, and it's phenomenal. So that I still love. The hard stuff or the heartache when I first got out, yeah, I could have done without that, but it just like going through, right? It's kind of like almost a passage, but it'll get better if you're there now. Reach out to someone, ask for help, but it will get better.
yeah, it's a huge, huge life change in more ways than one. So there's definitely merit in calling someone for help, whether it's some professional organization or just some friend, someone else who happened to be a veteran who understands.
Yeah.
Call a buddy. And if you're
Absolutely.
doing okay and somebody might be struggling, reach out to them and give them a call, because sometimes people are afraid to ask. And if we can see it going on, it's good to reach in and say, hey, I'm here for you.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Cool.
well, this is awesome. So let me kind of tie things up by asking you two questions.
Okay.
Um,
I didn't study for this test.
no, it's okay. They're not hard.
Okay.
Usually I ask how, I've had a lot of entrepreneurs on here, and usually I ask, how can we bless your business?
Right.
You're a realtor, so we know bringing new clients, give you referrals, that kind of thing. But as far as the legislative stuff, is there anything that people can do to support you in that arena, or to help with making those things pass, getting them passed? How
Yeah.
can we as a people help you?
Yeah, definitely. So one of the things that we experience when we go to the Hill, right, to Capitol Hill, is when we walk into a legislator's office, they ask you, are you a constituent? Well, I can only be a constituent to one person. Like I live right here, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, well, no, I'm not. However, comma, I'm a veteran, and then I go through my spiel. But there's just so much weight, and this is something that people don't understand, or maybe they don't believe, and I understand why they don't believe it right now, because we're kind of in a very divisive type of environment.
Yeah.
But you matter. Like pick up the phone, and just one call would it at minimum pique their interest and go, oh, wait a minute. I remember this guy named Jesse came in here and talked to us about this. Now I have an actual constituent calling me and saying, hey, are y'all supporting that? Why or why not? Because in essence, they work for us, right? They're our
Yeah. Yeah.
representatives, so they represent what we want. So can people help? 100%. Pick up the phone, call your congressman or congresswoman, and ask them. Say, hey, what are you doing about this? I heard about this, and I want to support it. Do you want to go further? Advocate for it. You know, grab a couple of neighbors and say, hey, we are interested in this. Like you just, again, we military and veterans are sprinkled all over society. So don't be surprised there's 10% or 15% of your neighborhood is military.
Oh,
So,
easy here.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, just talk to them and say, hey, we have this neighborhood supports this. And again, it's going to bear so much more weight coming from you as a constituent than from me, part of a nonprofit organization, just saying, hey, we want you to do this, right?
We need to get NAR and the lender. I forget what the lender
Yeah,
organization is. We need to get them in on it too to
yeah, yeah.
kind
The National Association of Realtors does endorse the second one that I talked about. I don't think they're officially endorsing the first one. I could be wrong,
yeah.
but yeah, no, and we are a big group, the National Association of Realtors.
Yeah.
But again, just the average American doesn't realize how much impact they have. That one phone call could sway them or could convince them to go, okay, yeah, I need to look at this a little bit more serious.
Yeah. And if you're afraid to
Yeah,
talk,
any
you
phone
can
call.
always send a letter or an email, just some kind of communication
Yeah,
to your local, your congressperson.
yeah. And you know what? It is intimidating. I will give you that because
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, I got to call these people. And I'm like, you know what? I call people every day. So let me just knock it out. Right. It is intimidating, but they're people just like you. They're even the staffers are people that are from your community, from your, district. So yeah, just call them up. Say, hey, I heard about this. What can you tell me about it?
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Second question is, what is your number one primary biggest piece of advice to someone who's about to step out and begin their transition?
My biggest advice is you're not alone. If you need help, ask. I don't know if that's one advice, but you're not alone. So just ask for help. And then just get connected to people who've been through it. So let me back up. Connect with the people who've been through it successfully.
Yeah.
Because there's some people that are disgruntled out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, just connect with somebody who again, we all know people who served. Just it doesn't matter how long ago they transitioned, but you're not alone. Just start getting connected, because there's a ton of resources that you're never going to hear about unless you start talking to those people. As a matter of fact, like some of the veterans that I've met other organizations through them because they're connected to them. And it is a big intertwined web of support systems that are out there. But and I didn't get to start knowing this till just like last year. And I've been retired for 9 years. So that kind of gives you perspective. Like if you don't ask, you'll never know. So that's my piece of advice. Ask. Get connected with somebody who's been through the process and you see is doing well.
Yeah. Do a Google search. You can find
Yeah. Oh yeah.
something that'll appeal to you, someone you could call.
Yeah. Google search. If you're on Facebook, just Google veteran organizations.
Yeah, that's a great, yeah.
Yeah, they're a dime a dozen. You can find them everywhere.
You can find somebody, and that first person may not be the person you end up with, but that's a place to start to
Yeah.
get headed in the right direction, start making good progress. So,
Yeah.
well, thank you so much for coming today. I appreciate it so much. It's good to see your face again. And
I appreciate
I
it.
hope these bills get passed. I don't know why they wouldn't. And it's, you know, they're such good things and it's not costing anybody anything, right?
Yeah. Well, right now I think they're just focusing on the budget, but
Right. Yeah.
yeah, these are important. So I have no doubt they'll pass. And if
Yeah.
they don't, we're going to be back up there talking to them again about it.
Yeah. Well, we're excited to see it happen and looking forward to getting on base and teaching some people some things.
Yes, ma'am. All righty.
All right. Well, thanks so much.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Alrighty. Thank you for tuning in. We're excited about helping ease your transition. If you're needing help or answers, please reach out. I would love to find an expert who can answer the questions in a future episode, or I can connect you with someone for more immediate help. We're here to serve you for a change. Don't be shy. My contact information is right here for you to use.